Hey guys, today I'm talking about the ultimate organic pest control solution. It's completely safe. We use it in our foods, we consume it, and it's perfectly safe, and it will get rid of so many different types of insects by using it through these 30 specific methods. So I'm going to try to run through as quickly as possible, throw some photographs if you're not familiar of each individual insect. I'll throw some up on the screen as I'm talking and let you see exactly what I'm referring to. But most of them you'll probably know because you may have a problem with them. But the ultimate solution for me is baking soda. It's really easy to use, it's not toxic, and it's safe for your pet. So let's run through quickly. I've been accused of rambling on too much, so I'm going to try to make this quick and give you 30 solutions and how to prepare it. So guys, the first thing we're going to talk about with baking soda is ants. It's a simple mixture, one-to-one recipe. You're going to take powdered sugar and mix it in equal parts to the baking soda. So whatever you're using, whether it's an ounce or a cup or 2 cups, equal parts of both. Put it in small containers wherever you're having a problem with ants, and the ants will consume it, and the sugar will be an attractant, attract them to the bait, and the baking soda will build up as gas within the ant's digestive system and kill the ants. So that's the first one. Ants, simple one-in-one recipe there. Now the second recipe is for cockroaches. You can either use powdered sugar or granular sugar and do the same one-to-one mix. You're going to put these wherever you're seeing the roaches, whether German roaches, the big American roaches, or whatever kind of roaches you have. They will consume it, and the same action happens when they digest it. It will kill them through that method. So baking soda and any type of sugar you have, just mix the two together thoroughly, and the roaches will eat it and kill them very quickly. Now the next one is for mice. If you're seeing mice in your house, then this is an easy recipe, and you can either transpose either one of these, whether peanut butter or sugar. I think sugar is a little bit easier to mix, but I think peanut butter has a little bit stronger smell that might draw them to it. But we're going to take equal parts of baking soda, flour, sugar, or peanut butter, mix it thoroughly, and then put it inside of a sealed container. If it's Tupperware, just cut a small round hole in it, maybe the size of a quarter if you have small mice, and then let them go in there. That way you can keep pets out of it. Just make sure it's got the top sealed on it and children can't get to it as well. It's better to put this behind appliances and under cabinets where it's pretty safe and only the rodents can get to it there. Now the next one is for fleas, and this is just super simple. You just use the baking soda alone. If you have carpets in your house or rugs, sprinkle this liberally throughout the house in the carpeted areas if you are having a problem with fleas, and let it sit overnight, and then the next day vacuum it up. That's going to take care of your adult fleas. You'll need to do this 2 or 3 times because the fleas that are still protected in their cocoons, when they hatch out, the second dose or third dose will get them there. And fleas go through about a 10 to 14 day cycle. So just remember, this is a multi-step process of using something very safe for your pets. It won't hurt them at all, and you don't have to worry about spraying your carpets with a chemical over and over. Now the next treatment is for bed bugs, and bed bugs are often picked up when we travel and go to hotels and motels. They can sometimes be in the bedding because there's so many people passing through, and bed bugs can survive extremely well even when you've done a thorough cleaning, vacuuming, everything. But what you want to do is you want to take the baking soda, lift your mattress up and sprinkle it all between the mattress, behind the headboard, under the floor, and make sure you wash the sheets the same day you do this. You're going to want to leave the baking soda on there up to 3 days, and that will dehydrate them and kill them before they have a chance to become an epidemic of bed bugs around your bed. Now the next one is for slugs and snails, and often they appear after a heavy rain and aren't necessarily a big indoor problem. That's more of an outdoor garden issue. So you're going to sprinkle the baking soda directly on the slugs or snails, and that will kill them on contact. But you have to remember that often slugs are not out during the daytime, and they often hide under the undersides of your plants, tomatoes, whatever else you have in your garden. They can often hide, and then in the evening or after a heavy rain, you'll see them just crawling around everywhere. So direct contact, sprinkling it on the slug or snail, that should knock them out pretty quickly. Now the next thing is silverfish, and they're often found around bathroom sinks and toilets, and sometimes in basement areas if there's a lot of dampness. But you want to do equal parts of baking soda and flour. I usually just do maybe a quarter of a cup and quarter of a cup and sprinkle it under the bathroom sink if I've seen any silverfish under there. So just mix these two together. They'll consume it and die, and it also has a dehydrating effect as well. So it does double duty for silverfish. Now if you're having a problem with crickets, you'll use 1 part baking soda, 1 part cornmeal, and this is really corn muffin mix, but it's got cornmeal in it. You'll want to mix it together evenly and put it in a small tray. The crickets will consume it, the internal gas buildup will happen, and you'll find a lot of dead crickets after you do this. So just make sure you Again, if your pets have access to it, you may want to put a lid on it and put a hole in the side of it where the cricket can go in and consume our bait before it has a chance to get into the hands of a dog or cat. Not highly toxic to dogs or cats, but you still don't want them to eat it. Now the next one is just using the baking soda with a common duster like this. This is one of my favorite dusters because you can get in cracks and crevices and it makes it work really well for spiders. But you want to put this around the perimeter of windows and doors, and the baking soda will have a repellent effect on spiders. So just remember, this is something you may have to do after each rain, but it definitely will help if you just give it a good dusting around the perimeter of your window if you have a huge problem with spiders and you don't want to use a strong pesticide. Now earwigs are a little bit less common problem, but they do exist in people's basements and sometimes around areas where there's a lot of high moisture content. But you're going to use 1 part baking soda, 1 part sugar, mix them equally, put it in a container like I showed you earlier, the plastic container, and the earwigs will go in there, consume it, and that will take care of them pretty quickly from those bathroom and basement areas. Now, if you're having a problem with beetles in your pantry or anywhere else in your house, take the baking soda, 1 part, and 1 part sugar, sprinkle that around the perimeter of the shelves in your pantry or wherever else you're seeing them, and the beetles will consume it and have that same reaction and die pretty quickly from the gas on their internal system. Now, if you're having a problem with centipedes, you want to use this bulb duster again and take the baking soda in its dry form, nothing mixed with it, and put it in small cracks, areas around the doors, anywhere that you feel like the centipedes are coming in. Put it in that area and it will act as a repellent and keep them away from coming inside. Now roaches in our kitchens tend to lay their eggs under appliances, things like refrigerators, stoves, and anything like that. So if you'll take the dry baking soda, use a bulb duster like this, and heavily dust under those appliances, the eggs will dehydrate and the newly hatched roaches will also die once they come in contact with the baking soda. So something like this bulb really works well on newly hatched roaches. Now, if you're having a problem with gnats in your house, this is another super simple one. We're going to take 1 tablespoon baking soda, 1 tablespoon of sugar, 1 cup of water. We're going to mix it all together and put it in a shallow dish like this and put it wherever you're seeing gnats. The sugar will draw in the gnats and they'll drown in our new gnat trap. Now, if you're having a problem with carpet beetles, another thing, just to dry baking soda, you're going to sprinkle it throughout the area where you're seeing them on carpets or rugs and also on furniture. Let it sit in that area for 3 to 4 hours and then vacuum it all up. So if you're having a problem with weevils in your pantry, mix 1 part baking soda, 1 part flour, put it in a shallow dish, and the weevils will consume it and die fairly quickly just from the same process as the other insects through the digestive gases. Now, if you've discovered termites somewhere in your house, like basements or garages where you can actually see the exposed wood, baking soda can slow them down. It's not a permanent solution, but it can kill the small ones that's exposed. Depending on the type of termites you have, it's going to definitely take a professional treatment, but this definitely can slow them down by giving a heavy dusting of pure baking soda where you've spotted them in cracks and crevices, but then you're going to need to probably call a professional if it's a major infestation of termites. Now, millipedes are just a smaller version of the centipede, and some of them centipedes can be dangerous, but that's usually not the case where I'm at. But we're going to take the dry baking soda powder, use it as the same method as a barrier they have to cross, and it will repel them and kill the ones that come in contact with it. So just remember, baking soda will work on the millipedes. Just going to take a lot more application in those door sills and window sills to keep them from coming in. Now, if you've discovered the beginnings of a wasp nest somewhere around an entry door or something like that, you can use 1 part baking soda and 10 parts water in a sprayer. You want to make sure that it has a really long stream because you don't want to do this up close with wasps because they are going to fly out and you could get stung pretty easy. So something like this, you might actually use the whole container and do a 1-to-10 ratio there. Small wasp nest, something like this, that's not going to be maybe 1, 2, or 3 wasps that are actually on the nest. The baking soda will be an irritant and they will abandon the nest pretty quickly, but just be very careful of getting closer than 7 or 8 feet from the nest. So you need a long distance sprayer for this trick. Now for mosquitoes, I usually recommend the mosquito bits, but if you don't have any of these and you want to do a test for mosquitoes, the larvae can also be killed by baking soda. You want to take 1 tablespoon and just sprinkle it across stagnant or standing water. If you have a humidity tray under a pot, just put it in there and that will kill the larvae before they have a chance to develop into mosquitoes. So if you don't have the mosquito bits, try the baking soda and I think it will work great. The larvae can be very susceptible to it. Now, if you have an issue with fruit flies, using 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, 1 tablespoon of the baking soda, mix it up in a small, shallow dish like this. This will attract them. The apple cider vinegar will attract them right to the dish, and the baking soda in this combination will kill them. Also, if you have a lot of bananas, that's almost a guarantee that if you leave them and they become overripe, you're going to have fruit flies. So this is a great way to get rid of fruit flies from any type of vegetables or fruits that have over-ripened, and suddenly you have a fruit fly infestation in your kitchen. So I often see stink bugs on my screened-in porch, and this is a good way to prevent them. Is you take 10 parts water to 1 part baking soda, use a sprayer and spray those entry points, small openings around your windows and doors, and that will also repel stink bugs from coming into that area. Now, if you found a small hornet's nest around your house, you want to be very cautious because hornets are extremely aggressive, but you need to use something like this, a large sprayer. I'll put a link to all of these things in the description, but this is one of my favorite ways to get rid of hornet's nests and wasp nests from a distance. I can be up to 15, almost 20 feet away, and this has a very high pressured, it's battery operated, so it's got a pressurized stream, but take 10 parts water, 2 tablespoons of Castile soap, and 2 tablespoons of the baking soda. Mix it all together and hit that nest at the entry point where they're going in and out. Remember to remain very low and very still, and it's better to do this after dark when they become a little bit more dormant or on a cooler day or night. Now, if you're having a problem with ticks around your pet's bedding, if it's an outdoor bedding area, you can take equal parts of salt and the baking soda and mix it well together. Sprinkle it under the pet's bedding, not on top where they're going to be laying, but around the perimeter of it and underneath, and that's going to help repel the ticks and also kill the ones that are under there by dehydrating them. Now, the next recipe is for fire ants. We in the South always have a lot of fire ants. I'm in the southeastern part of the United States, and they started in Mobile and have spread across huge areas of the southeast and probably made their way past Texas now. But anyways, you're going to take 2 tablespoons of baking soda, put it directly on the mound, and then pour in 1 to 2 cups of vinegar, just common everyday vinegar. This will disrupt the mound itself, and they'll abandon the nest and go somewhere else and build a new one. And it's going to kill a substantial portion of them as well if you put in enough vinegar. Now, if you're having a problem with scorpions, make a 3 to 4 inch wide band around your doors or entry points where they are making it inside. When the scorpion starts to cross it, they'll have a reaction with it, and it will act as a repellent to scorpions. And the scorpions we have here in the South are very small. This would have no effect on those very dangerous and large Arizona scorpions. So if you have those, you have my sympathy. So if you're having a problem with pill bugs in the garden, you're just going to take regular, straight, nothing mixed in with it, dry baking soda. Use your duster, and around the base of the plant, just put a very light dusting, and that will help with pill bugs around your garden vegetables. Remember not to add too much because it can change the pH of the soil. Now, if you're having a problem with flies around your house, it could indicate there could be a dead animal in a basement, crawl space, or attic. Sometimes that is where the flies will go in to lay their eggs and hatch out, and you'll have a sudden fly infestation and not know why. But you're going to use a gallon container like this, remove the lid off of it, fill it about halfway with water, put in 1 cup of vinegar, just straight ordinary kitchen vinegar, 3 or 4 drops of your whatever type of dish soap you have, and 1 tablespoon of the baking soda. Mix it well. The flies will be attracted to the vinegar, fly into the trap, land on the water, and they'll break the surface tension because of the soap, and you'll catch a lot of flies in your gallon-sized fly trap. Now, speaking of flies, if you come across some rotting trash or maybe even a dead animal, baking soda straight onto the maggots will kill them. That's one of the stages of the fly development. Just put it directly on there, and you can kill the maggots before they hatch out and become a fly. Now, if you're having a problem with pantry moths or clothes moths, they're both closely related, but you can take a light dusting of baking soda on the shelves in both pantries and closets. Make sure that you clean it out. Look for any possible contaminated things like bird seed, dry cat foods or pet foods, things like that. There can be a type of pantry moth that actually comes from the manufacturer. Even flowers can have these pantry moths in them. I've seen unopened bags of pasta with pantry moths crawling inside of them. The clothing moths are a little bit different, but they're in the same type of species. But anyways, you're going to dust your clothing closets once you remove them. Make sure you have everything dry cleaned, because especially wool and animal products like cashmere, you can have them living in that and hatching out and just repeating this life cycle. You won't be able to understand why your clothing is just constantly infested with moths unless you take that step of dry cleaning and then dust the shelves inside of your clothing closet. Now, one thing you have to take into consideration that although all of these work to some degree, they're not going to be as effective as an industrial pesticide. Just remember that it's going to help, but it may not work every single time depending on how bad your infestation is or how long you've let it go for. So if you've let something get out of control, let's say with ants, it's going to take longer and a lot more effort, and you may actually have to bump up your mixtures to make them quite a bit stronger. So guys, I want to say thanks so much for watching. I hope you got something out of it. If you have any questions or any comments that you want me to read or respond to, please become a public subscriber first so I can see it. I tend to filter them like that because I get so many comments and questions. So I really appreciate it, and have a great day.